Hey guys, it's Elton here. So I'm going to have a chat to you about the fact that van life is a lifestyle choice and not a holiday. So the impression I think that a lot of people get from especially the likes of Instagram is that van life is just one big party, and that day after day you're waking up in a new area with a new view, a new back garden, and it's just fantastic. Now, that's not the reality of van life, and I think there's a bit of confusion in the term itself, van life. For those more logical, like myself, it's pretty much what it says on the tin, van life, i.e. you live in your van. Whilst others think of van life as just something you do on weekends or during some time off work. They are two very different things, because having a van that you go out on weekends in or away in holidays is not quite the same as living in your van on a full-time basis. Our vans are essentially your homes, so we are constantly in them. People who own homes, and when I was a homeowner, I wasn't out every day doing exciting things and making videos and recording things, etc. I still had a life to live. I had good days and bad days. At the moment, for example, I've done something to my back. It's one of those things about when you get grey and get older, the body starts falling to pieces. So I'm on a bit of drugs at the moment, cocodamol, just to be able to, get around and walk about and things like that. If it doesn't get better in the next couple of days, then I'll go to a walking clinic and see what is occurring there. I've realized that I'm putting myself under a bit of pressure with constantly feeling like I need to get out and go and see things and record things and make videos for the channel. Where in reality, as I say, it's not. It really isn't that way when you're living in your van full time. You still got to generate income. You've still got to, feel safe where you're parking up. Well, certainly I do anyway. Again, many so-called van lifers, and I'm going to go like this when I refer to van lifers who are weekend campers, and people, as I say, who have a van but use it on rare occasions and then go back to the home. Because in a previous video, 7 challenges of van life, which I'll link to above, I spoke about some of those challenges that you just don't appreciate when you have a home as your backup. And I think a lot of people don't, a lot of the public can't get their heads around the fact that for a lot of people, van life is a choice. It's a lifestyle choice. It's something they've consciously decided to do with their lives. I haven't met them personally yet, but I'm in a group of van lifers, and there are various people with, some of them are doctors who have walked away from their profession because of stress or heart attacks or various other reasons. It seems like the general public, in the large majority anyways, seem to view those who choose to live this alternative lifestyle as failures. People who have failed at a marriage or failed with a business, or somehow been forced into that lifestyle, where the people I've met so far, that hasn't been the case. I haven't met anyone yet, to be honest, who's been forced into the van life lifestyle. It's all been a decision of theirs. To be fair, most of the people I've met so far are in their 40s and over. I think that may be primarily because the older generation prefer the stability of using a campsite. For me, as I've said in other videos, the uncertainty, not knowing where I'm going to park up for the night, it's just not something that will allow me to enjoy the day. because I'm constantly going to be thinking, where am I parking up tonight? What time do I need to set off here so that I can make sure I find something? So it's just not something I want to do in this van life experience. As I've said before, if I find a park up that's looks safe and I'm happy with, there's no problem in that. But I'm not going to feel pressured to wild park at this point, because it's just not something that interests me, to be honest. As I say, if I'm out in the rural areas where there's no people around, and I know that stopping here is not going to be causing anyone an issue and no one's going to be causing me an issue, then I'll happily park up overnight. But when I'm in the built up areas, as most of the southwest is anyway, I typically avoid wild park ups at the moment. So it may be because I'm campsites mostly at the moment that the people I'm meeting are generally 40 plus, and the younger generations are those who are more willing to wild park, etc. So maybe once I start wild parking, I will meet more of the younger generation. But yeah, it's important that people understand that a lot of people in the van life community are there because they choose to be, and not because they have been forced into the position. It does appear like, since I've moved into my van, both my businesses that I run, which are my photography services, and in my other business, which is the website design and SEO consultancy work, has pretty much dried up. Now I know there were periods of time when I had the breakdowns in the vehicle and all that kind of thing, where I did kind of take my foot off my efforts on social media, and that's never a good thing if you're a business owner, to kind of take your foot off your efforts on social media. So that will have had an effect. However, not to the extent that it has been, to the point where literally I haven't had a single client in 6 months of moving into my van. So I wonder if some of that has got to do with the fact that people know I live in a van, and if there's any prejudgments that come with that, perhaps even subconsciously. They just feel that working with someone who lives in a van, they can't possibly be professional and deliver the services they're looking for, despite the fact that I have 30 years experience in IT and web design, etc. I think there is a lot of preconceptions that come with the van life lifestyle. So yeah, it does make it a bit difficult, if you are your own business owner. So if you are thinking of getting on the road, and you are a business owner, if you've got a business that's already established and you've got clients and recurring clients, etc., then great, it's not likely to impact you. However, if you're just starting out your own business and you're still in that phase where the income is kind of ups and downs every month, you may want to hold out changing over into the van life lifestyle until you've established that business enough to be bringing in regular income every month, enough income that you're going to be okay cost-wise on the road, because van life does cost. And again, I made another video which I'll link to above, kind of indicating the rough estimates of how much you would need every month. So just be wary of that. If you are gonna try to generate your own income by running a business and offering services, etc., from a van, that there may be some prejudice, even unconscious prejudice against you because you live the van life. It may not be the case. There are obviously van lifers out there on YouTube who are making a living mostly from YouTube, to be honest. But unfortunately, I'm just not a good-looking blonde person with big assets that I can flash around and just get those viewers in. But good for them. I'm not trying to appeal to those kind of people anyway. I'm, the people who would be interested in my channel and my ramblings on would be people around my age group, between 40 and 900. Those are the people I'm kind of going to probably resonate with mostly, not the people who are going to be interested in the other kinds of channels out there. But yeah, I just want to make clear that van life is a lifestyle choice, and if you are thinking about joining the van life lifestyle, and you're doing it with its true meaning of going to be living in your van indefinitely, bear that in mind. It's not always, it's unlikely you're going to be moving every day, finding a new place to park up every night with a new view every morning, because you are going to be, you're going to have to work unless you have a nice nest egg, or you're just doing it for a year or two. You are going to have to work at some point, and there are various ways in which you can earn a living on the road, and I'll be creating a separate video on that one. But yeah, if you're not a van lifer and you're seeing this video, if you come across van lifers, don't have this stereotypical view that they travelers and they're going to make a mess of our neighborhood and all these kinds of things, because yes, that happens, but typically van lifers will keep to themselves. They try to be as stealthy as possible, and most of them, the majority of van lifers that I come across and comments in groups, etc., is that van lifers tend to leave no trace. A lot of people pride themselves on that all they leave are footprints, but then you get the bad seeds, obviously. In a group today, I believe it was, I think it was in Southwold in Suffolk, where one of the MPs, I think it might have been, or council leaders, was complaining about the fact that some motorhomes had been parked there for a couple of weeks. One in particular was actually sawn. For those who don't live in the UK, sawn means that the vehicle's been declared as being off the road, i.e. it has no roadworthy certificate and it doesn't have insurance. So yes, it's those kinds of people who do unfortunately make wild parking more and more difficult in England, as more and more councils now clamp down on free park-ups because of those kinds of behaviours, unfortunately. But anyway, I'm rambling again. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of make that distinction of what exactly van life is. It is not a holiday. If you're doing it for a 1 or 2 year period as a gap year or an experience, then sure, then it's a holiday, I guess, or it's an experience. But if you are doing it indefinitely, it is a lifestyle, and not primarily not a lifestyle that's forced upon people. It is a lifestyle that people choose. And I'm already detecting in the van life groups that there are, what shall we say, the genuine van lifers, the people who live in their van full time, actually get quite annoyed when people who go out on weekends and maybe a week or two here and there call themselves van lifers, because they are two separate worlds, and you can't compare them. You can't compare weekend camping and occasional camping to living full time in your van and all the inconveniences and challenges that come with that. Right, well, that's it for now, guys. Until next time, be kind, be happy, be safe. Cheers, bye bye.